Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about unbreakable spirit. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a thinker, and that is what we are thinking about today. So, with that being said, I have a special guest here who's going to help us really think about this in a way that we possibly don't think about. So, Delicia, thank you so much for coming onto my show and sharing your time and your perspective with me on this topic. Let's go ahead and dive right in. When you hear the words unbreakable spirit, what does that make you think about?
Honestly,
Yeah.
myself makes me think about myself, especially after writing my books. At one point, it was during COVID in the height of 2020. And I remember I was in the midst of writing Kissing Asphalt, which is the first book in the series. And I just sat there and I hung my head and I cried. And I just screamed to the sky, like, how did I survive my childhood? How? It was the first time that it ever actually like really struck me. And I was 49 years old at the time. So, yeah, definitely I come to mind. If you would have asked me that 5 or 6 years ago, that wouldn't have been the same answer.
Oh, I believe it. I think that's growth. You know what I mean? To be able to say, I think of myself when you think of an unbreakable spirit, that's growth. That just shows
Yeah.
that you're learning a lot. You're healing and you're realizing your imperfections don't define you. You know what I mean? So that's the
Completely.
beauty of having this unbreakable spirit, is that I hope people resonate with what you just said. And I'm so glad that's what you started off with, because I think more people need to own that, because sometimes I tell stories about my childhood to people and they're like, Mitzi, what? That's not something that's not normal. What is going on? How did you even survive? Like, what? Are you the most functional one in the
Right?
family? And so it's crazy to think, because when you look back and it's like, but that was my normal. You know what I mean?
Right.
That
I
was
always say you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
exactly. Exactly. And that's the reason why I hold on to common sense isn't common, because not everybody's exposed to the same sense, you know what I mean? To the same environment. You know what I mean? Some people have to learn how to survive before they can learn how to relax. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I understand
Completely.
that completely, is that there's so many people out there that have been in survival mode since the day they were born. You know what I mean? Since the day they were born, trying to just survive the odds of so many things in front of their obstacles. So I guess for you, I mean, what made it real for you to want to write a book? What made it real that you were like, I can share my story with somebody?
Well, and it sounds really cliche, and I've said this on other podcasts before, and I sound like every other inspiring author out there, but there were several psychics in my life over the course of my lifetime that just kept telling me, various ones, you need to write a book, and your book is going to be made into a movie. And I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. And you need to write a book about your life. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. I never thought like that's not going to happen. I just kind of laughed like, yeah, right, whatever. My brother made movies for a living, so it wasn't like beyond the scope of reality for me, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I was just, why? I thought like nobody wants to hear about trauma, more trauma. Like who cares about my woe is me crap, to be
Yeah.
honest. And I'm just like, so I read this book when I was about 48. I listened to it actually on audio, but it was called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but if you have a lot of trauma in your past, you might want to look into it. It was very interesting for me in that I learned a lot. It's all about how your body stores trauma
Mhm.
and how it comes out in a different way. And so like for myself, I have suffered from Crohn's disease since I was
Mm.
23. and I didn't find out what it was until I was 25. I also have degenerative disc disease in my neck. I have like a lot of issues. I mean, I'm 52 and on disability, 53 now, and on disability. So I'm like, permanent disability. So I've got a lot of issues in my body. And this book really resonated with me because it was kind of my first aha moment to where I had a lot of trauma in my life. And that it actually like affected me because the first chapter of Kissing Asphalt, it's called We're Going to Disneyland. It talks about how I was kidnapped and taken to Baghdad when I was 4 years old by my father. Wow. And that's just the first chapter of the book. So after my mom gets us back, he completely and totally abandons us. So I've got and this book, The Body Keeps the Score. Every time somebody asked me about that, oh, you were kidnapped, that must have been so traumatic. And I just be like, oh, I don't know. I was 4. Like, I don't remember that crap, but my body remembers, and I was like, oh, wow. And then I had done some breath work, which was that's part of book 3, The Queen of Silver Linings, which is my healing journey. But I had done some breath work, and in the breath work session, I realized that during my entire time in Baghdad, I held all of my trauma, all my pain, all my fear. Had so much fear. And I held it all like in my solar plexus area.
Yeah.
And so I kind of made the connection. And I also made the connection that I had PTSD for 44 years. And that I never really realized it, that I was just in denial. So reading that book was a big healing step for me.
Yeah.
But it also, what I did is I reached out to them because I saw they were having, like, in 2 weeks from the time I finished the book, they were having this workshop in Massachusetts. And I reached out to them and asked if I could attend. And apparently they moved a bunch of stuff around for me after reading my letter, which I didn't know till I got there because they're booked up for years. And so I went to this workshop, and it was an incredible life-changing experience for me. And, I realized after that workshop that I didn't just have trauma, that I actually did have a story to share with people, and that my story is I made it through. Yeah. And not just that I made it through, but I am thriving. I love life. I'm happy. I'm alone and I'm happy. I don't need somebody else to make me happy, I got a great, great life, and I am many friends and, a wonderful pet family, and I'm happy. And like, that's my story. That's my message, and that's why I called the series Resilient AF, because we're all resilient and we can all make it through anything that life throws our way. And I really wanted people to read my book and think like, oh my God, if this woman could make it through this, I can make it through what I'm going through. And there are people who have reached out to me and said, thank you. I never thought about getting therapy. Thank you. I never thought about my little girl who I realize now needs help, and it's just like, I always said, like, if I could just help one person with my books, it'll make my life worthwhile, and I already have. So Absolutely. It makes me so happy to be able to like, send that message to the world at large. And
yeah. And that's the beauty of writing, is that it allows you to express yourself without fault. You know what I mean? Without any type of real repercussions. Because when you write your story, it's like, yeah, people may misunderstand, may judge you, but those people are irrelevant because they don't have the understanding to grasp the reality of what was actually happened to you and how you're recovering and everything that's going in between and everything that you put into your book. Because as an author, that's your baby. You know what I mean? That's your book is your baby. Your book is like a part of you. It's an attachment of you. And when you release it onto the world and you get those type of responses where it's like, oh, wow, thank you. It's like, it's rewarding because it's like, all you need is just that one, you know what I mean? All you need is just that one person to just remind you that it was worth it. Because if I can save you, then I know I saved everybody else. You know what I mean? Because we don't know who one person can save and affect in their community. So just doing this is truly an impactful thing. And I also appreciate the fact how this is this is real to you. You know what I mean? This isn't something that you're trying to do for fame or anything like that. This is just because deep down inside, you know that's going to help somebody out there. And I think more people, if they took that step in that vulnerability to write their testimony, to write their stories, we would have better movies. Because people love trauma, people love drama, and people
Right.
love reality. And when people see reality, they gain an understanding, they gain compassion, and we are lacking understanding and compassion in this world. You know what I
Oh
mean? So,
man, there's
and
thought
so
about
this
that
is
right now.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. People need to start thinking about these things in a different way. So I guess my question is, what is a pet peeve of yours?
Oh, that's an interesting question. A pet peeve of mine. I mean, I have a lot of. I just realized I have this disorder that I couldn't put my finger on my whole life, which is like a noise issue. Like right now, my dog's chewing on his little chewy that I gave him to make him be quiet, and it's not being quiet. It's driving me crazy. Um, but like noise drives me crazy. But I just found out that it's actually a disorder caused by trauma. It's called misphonia, and my
Oh.
brother has it as well. And like if
Mm.
you're talking to him on the phone and he any sort of back, like if he would hear him chewing, if I was talking and I had the phone in my ear, he'd be like, "What is that? Can you shut it up?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I can't. It's my dog chewing, you know, like I can't shut it
Yeah.
up." But he gets so mad at me too, and it's not just like an annoyance; it's like a
Like it's
rage, like an internal rage, you know. It's like it
yeah.
makes you want to jump off a cliff. It's crazy, but other than that, I don't know that I have. I guess dishonesty is like and what's the word that I'm trying to look for? Not really dishonesty, but like people that don't have compassion or patience for people that are
Hmm.
different than they are.
Hmm.
Because I'm gay and I've gotten a lot of discrimination in my life for that. And it's like, I feel like trans people right now are, oh, God, I feel so bad for them. Like I have had several trans friends and they have this internal struggle with themselves. They have the highest suicide rate of anybody. And like, just society is just so making up all this crap and I just want to hug my trans friends right now because I've suffered so much discrimination, but I just feel so bad for them. They don't get even accepted by a lot of the LGBTQ community. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's really, that's probably my pet peeve is people not accepting people for who they are. And as Tim Walls says, just leave me alone and I'll leave you alone. And
Yeah.
and let's just be who we are and let me be me and I'll let you be you.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
think
if
that's
that's
the
some
one thing.
Confederate flying guy, then fly your Confederate flag, but leave me alone.
Yeah. I know I've seen that before one time driving downtown where I live, and I seen this gay guy walking um to his apartment, and I seen these other guys in a Jeep just haggling them, just harassing them, just calling out like slurs and just mad disrespectful. And I was just like, what is their problem? They got
What
nothing
happens
better to
now,
do.
it's sad because it happens now politically. Like I was at an Alanis Morissette concert, I shit you not, with my friends. One of them is a firefighter, a female firefighter who's been a firefighter for 30 years. She has a child. She's married to a man. Another one is a friend of mine who's actually dating my ex-girlfriend, who's a lesbian. And we were at the Alanis Morissette concert, minding our own business, sitting on the back of the back of the back lawn where the cheap seats are, where you have to bring your own seats. There are no seats. And everybody around us was talking, and it was the opening act. And I start talking to my friend who's the firefighter, and I said, it was right when Kamala became, the nominee. And I said, what do you think about this new dynamic duo? And she said, well, I just wish that, she had picked Pete Buttigieg. And I said, oh, that wouldn't happen because he's gay. And as soon as that happened, the two people in front of us turned around and started screaming, shut the fuck up, you stupid mother effing pieces of shit, la la. Like, it was bad. I was just like, my other friend went to go get security because it was like so uncalled for. And I said, you know what, you guys, I want to enjoy the concert. I'm not going to enjoy the concert with this energy around me. We need to leave. And if that means they win, I don't care. Like, we need to leave. So we left. And as we were leaving, people were approaching us going, you shouldn't leave, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why didn't you say anything when they're screaming obscenities at us and being complete total assholes, And it's like, why? Just because we were talking about somebody who's gay. And but yeah, it's just like, come on. It's like yesterday I was driving and I have a Harris sticker on my Madam President sticker on my truck. Some guy just like beeped at me for no reason, ran around me, like all angry. I just like, have a nice day, man. Like
The problem is, the problem is that too many people can't accept other people's differences. You know what I mean? Like you said. And if we are able to just accept each other's differences and remind each other that we are human, we're not meant to be the same. We're not meant to be look the same. We're not robots. You know what I mean? We are unique in our own way, shape, or form. And
America was born on immigration. So
yeah, and everyone's an immigrant unless you're actually Native American. You're an immigrant. If your grandparents and grandparents have a story, then that means that you are not originally from here. So it's interesting how people forget that concept that at the end of the day, we all want a better dream. We all want a better life for ourselves and the next generation, and that's why we are all here. And it is sad to see that compassion is out the window and empathy and understanding is out the window. But I think it's because division and fear is easier to rile up than compassion and understanding. You know what I mean? Because there's too many heads in the pot and too many hands in the pot. Right. So it's just it's very, very difficult. I mean, let's be honest, we can go have a whole entire segment on this.
Oh, big time,
you know what I mean? A whole entire segment on this.
My pet peeve for sure would be people not accepting other people as they are, because it just causes so much strife and hate, and it's just
and we're just trying to love ourselves in the meantime, and having to love ourselves is already hard. So when you try to put yourself in other people's shoes to have them love you, it's difficult. That's one of the reasons why I love you said that you're single and you're happy and you're thriving, because I wish more people grasp the concept that you can be single and you can be happy and you can find joy in the simplest things, and you can find joy within yourself, and you can learn to love yourself and do things that you always wanted to do. I remember in my single season, I was like, you know what, Mitzi? I want to go to the movies and watch a movie. All right, let's go. And I went and I was happy and I ate my popcorn and when I came home, everybody was like, where did you go? I was like, I went to the movies. Like, by yourself? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, why? And I'm like, because it's a thing. It's okay. It's okay to eat at a restaurant by yourself. Like, I have eaten at a restaurant by myself and enjoyed my food by myself. And it's like, it's a luxury that people don't understand and they take for granted. And it's truly, truly sad. Okay. So I guess you can have a superpower.
Traveling by yourself is really something special, I have to say.
Oh, it is. It really is. It's actually kind of calming. You know what I mean? It's less stressful as well. Like, because all you really got to worry about is yourself. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Pay attention to yourself and nobody
30
else.
years ago, before cell phones, you were able to also make a lot of new friends and meet a lot of new people. I think it's probably different now, but...
Exactly. You can have actually verbal communications, conversations. Yeah. I remember taking a train, and in the train from Chicago up to New York, we had conversations. You know what I mean? There was no people focused on a tablet. There was no people focused on a phone, because people didn't have that at the time. You know what I mean? We had actual conversations in real life situations. So I guess these are the lost art forms is critical thinking. People forget how to think critically and just really process things. You know what I mean? That's the problem, you know. Another problem to add to the list because there's a lot of problems, let's be honest, you know what I
Yes,
mean? So, oh my
ma'am.
goodness. Time is coming to an end. It's escaping us, sadly to say, but what can be some lasting words of wisdom you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Honestly, be kind. And if you know, if somebody's overweight and you want to scream obscenities at them, think twice because don't you think that they beat themselves up enough?
Exactly.
You know? And so be kind. And that's all. Like, that's all I could say.
I appreciate it because it's simple. Two words, be kind. Yet for some reason
Yeah.
people can't grasp the concept of being kind. You know what I mean? What was the saying that they used to always say when we were younger? If you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at
Don't say
all.
anything at all. Yeah.
People have lost that concept because they think freedom of speech means no repercussions with their words. And it's like, no, sweethearts, it doesn't work like that. Life has always have repercussions. Oh my goodness. So be
Exactly.
kind. Goodness
Exactly.
gracious. If ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to know more about Delicia and what she has to offer the world so that you can keep on thinking, please check out her website. I have a beautiful photo on my website, just right there. And you have access to everything that she has to offer the world so that you can keep on thinking. So with that being said, bye.